Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barry Asman. I want to welcome you today to joining us for another webinar. For those of you who have been attending our webinars, whether it's this week and the previous weeks, it's great to see you again. I'm recognizing a lot of the names out there, so I just want to mention that. Thank you very much. And it's my great honor today to co-host this webinar together with IrisVision. So again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll get into the specifics momentarily, but before we continue on, I just want to go over a few, housekeeping related details here. So when it's time for the Q&A, I want everyone to be on the same page, and we'll give everyone an opportunity if they have questions to raise their hand. So you have three options here. You can raise your hand. There's a button to raise your hand. If you want, we are happy to bring you into this mix here as far as with video, or if you want just audio. We can also send a question to Q&A. I ask everyone here not to be shy. This is a very friendly, informal environment, and I encourage anyone that has any questions to please speak up and don't be shy. However, if you are feeling a little shy today, you can definitely send a question through the Q&A button and submit it, and you can, you can submit it anonymously, and we will respect your privacy. Or you can send a note here just through the chat. So we have these great options. You can either raise your hand, send a message to the chat, or you can post a question in the Q&A. So again, thank you very much for that. So today, I am honored to have Tom Persky here with us. Tom is the Vice President of Professional and Consumer Outreach at IrisVision. And we are also joined today by Kip Thino, who is Vice President of Sales at IrisVision. So I want to again thank both of you for joining us today. It's a great honor here to be with the IrisVision. And today what we're going to do is we are going to discuss really everything about IrisVision, all the ABCs about IrisVision, the ins and outs, the current software, what's coming out in the near future, and even hopefully where we anticipate things going in the near future. So again, this is going to be a very comprehensive overview of IrisVision, and I am confident that all of our attendees today will greatly benefit from the information that we plan to share with you guys. So, I was thinking back, as of preparing for this webinar, I was, going back into, going down memory lane as far as, when we first got involved with IrisVision. And for those of you who may not know, I am really, proud to say that me personally, I have been involved with IrisVision before Kip joined the company, before Tom joined the company, and before I would say just about every employee joined the company today. And so the relationship dates back to, I believe it was 2015 is when the first time we were introduced to IrisVision. We had the great honor of hosting Frank Werblin, Professor Frank Werblin, a neuroscience professor at UC Berkeley, who is the founder and creator, inventor of this tremendous piece of technology. And I've just, going back to that date, I don't remember the exact day. I was trying to go back in my notes and see exactly when that was, but it was in 2015, and I clearly remember sitting with Frank and my colleagues, and we had brought in a patient to try out and to demonstrate IrisVision, as we were, of course, skeptical to see what the technology could provide. So lo and behold, the technology really was everything and more that we expected. And what I said from day one is that IrisVision, the software, is the foundation and the platform of what's running the entire device. And when you have a solid foundation, as everyone knows, when you have a solid foundation, you can continuously add to that foundation. And so today, IrisVision has just grown significantly from the beta testing mode that we had in the early stages to version 3.5 today. The software has really turned into this incredible piece of wearable technology for individuals living with low vision and various different sight loss conditions. So it's great to be here. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Congratulate you for taking the time through this challenging time to be here with us and to participate. So it's great to have you here, Tom. And I would love for you to give our attendees a little bit of background as far as your involvement in the company with IrisVision, and even I would love for you to just touch upon as far as your actual sight loss condition as well.
Sure. It's great to be here, Barry, and thinking back to, it's been exactly 3 years since I joined the company, so in March of 2017, and that's the first time we met over the phone. And it's been an exciting ride, and as you say, we have grown tremendously as a company. Our website is IrisVision, IrisVision.com, and you can see lots about the company and the stories of thousands of lives now that have been changed because of this product. I myself am visually impaired. I was diagnosed with a juvenile form of macular degeneration called Stargardt disease when I was 19 years old. And as you can imagine, it was a blow because I had no one in my family, or no one that I knew actually who was vision impaired or blind. And so it was a very frightening time, and slowly over time had to give up many things, including was not able to read, and I had to drop out of college. I was also playing college basketball, and then later giving up driving, which of course is a huge step, and you're losing your independence. Was fortunate with the help of a CCTV video magnifier. I tell people my first machine was made out of stone. It was the Stone Age. As now I am 67 years old, so you think back of all that time. This is the IrisVision was in my dreams back then, of something light and easy to take around. But I had this big heavy machine, and I was able to go back to college and graduate school as a legally blind student. And throughout my beginning of my career, which was in family counseling actually, I was hired by a low vision center in Wheaton, Illinois. And so that led me to be in a really perfect spot in helping others, because I knew, as a person who had gone through depression and anger and all the stages that we talk about, what it was like to cope, and helping families also cope. And so I've been in the field of low vision rehabilitation for over 30 years. And recently, I served 10 years as Senior Vice President of the Chicago Lighthouse for the Blind, one of the largest low vision centers in the country. So that's my personal background and professional background, but I am thrilled to be a part of this team with, as you mentioned, Dr. Frank Werblund, Ahmad Khan, who is our entrepreneur and software guru, is our president. And we've had some great help from, for instance, the only product that's been backed by the National Eye Institute. So the government thought we were doing a great job, and all the modes that we talk about in the software that you were mentioning are helping with different eye problems that people have, as well as different visual tasks that people want to perform. And that we've received lots of help from Johns Hopkins and Stanford University, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and it goes on and on. So we're part of a team, a global team. And what's great about it is we can make this product better and better with the input from many doctors from around the world, actually. And because the software, as you mentioned, is upgradable, it's a rare thing in the low vision technology community to have a product that doesn't become obsolete in 6 months or a year. That is, we can upgrade it and make it happen everywhere along the line for those users who want to be able to make the technology and keep on the cutting edge of things.
Yeah, and I think that that's a very important topic. And of course, we're going to talk about that as far as the software updates. But I just want to really, zero in on that detail, is because I remember, even the early stages when the device first came to market, one of the, the questions that we're constantly asked is, well, technology is moving at a very fast pace today, right? And this even goes back, a few years ago when IrisVision first came out. So technology is moving at a very fast pace, and how do I ensure that my unit will always remain, effective for the various tasks that I'm going to, use it for? So it's really important to stress as far as, the software, when you have that strong foundation and you're able to build on that by adding the layers and layers of incredible software that's driving the device, that gives the assurance to the end user that they will basically never be left out as far as from those various enhancements. Of course, we could talk about different hardware and stuff like that, but overall, I have yet to see, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, I have yet to see any of the software enhancements that come out. I have yet to see any obstacles with any of the hardware that's out there today.
That's correct. And of course, there's been so many optical devices on the market. Using a camera, or what we call now the virtual reality system, it has been fairly new, but it has so many advantages over some of the traditional low vision aids. So we can dive in and talk about the specifics.
Absolutely.
Thing about being connected, I wanted to just briefly mention that the remote support. So no matter where you live, if you think there may be something not working exactly right, it's difficult. If you don't drive a car and you can't get around, how are you going to get your item fixed? And we can remote in right from our headquarters in California into the device, usually fix it in 2 or 3 minutes. And I hear from customers all the time what a great help that is for those who are not only middle-aged, we have 70s, 80s, many people in their 90s using the device that when we first started weren't sure that because of this so new, the technology, but no, we're getting calls all the time from people. They appreciate the support. Our company provides consumer training and help and experience over the phone. And we've done some revolutionary things that have not been done before as a company who provides low vision technology.
Yeah, and that tech support, it really goes a long way. And speaking of going a long way, I remember, you just reminded me of a great story I would love to share with everyone here today. And I don't know if I ever shared the story with you. And Kip, this will definitely be a fascinating story for you to listen to. But before the ability for tech support to connect in, before that was really implemented, right? We had one of our early devices that we had shipped out actually went to an individual with low vision, literally in the middle of Australia. And I don't want to say in the outback per se, but it was in the middle of the country. It was not like or Perth on the West Coast, or Sydney or Melbourne in the major city. And so we shipped this device out to Australia, and the end user, they receive it. Everything went smoothly with the shipment, with customs. Everything was great. And they send us an email, and they said they're having some technical difficulties as far as getting the device up and running. And I wanted to stress to everyone that I'm talking about, this is literally like our second or third unit that we had shipped out. And the device today, and we're going to show you, it's very different as far as the power button. A lot of things have changed, and a lot of that has changed because the users have shared their experiences, and IrisVision has stepped up to the plate and really listens to what everyone is talking about. So we were communicating with this user in Australia, and I asked her. I said, well, I'm trying to think about how in the world are we going to see what's going on and help this user get up and running. And so what happened was, I asked the user. I remember because I was personally involved in this. I asked the user. I said, "Do you have an iPad or an iPhone?" And shockingly, they said yes. So I said, great. So what we can do is we can do a FaceTime, and I'm going to guide you and figure out what those issues are. And we were very fortunate. We found out what the issues, what the issue was, and in a short period of time, we were able to get this user up and running with our IrisVision device, and it was a game changer. It really was. But just think about going back to Australia in the middle of nowhere, and using FaceTime to be able to figure out what the issue was, and we got it resolved. So one of the things I want to stress, from our side at the Low Vision Shop, is that when we have individuals that will come in to our office, to our showroom, to receive their complimentary demonstration, and of course I want to stress that we always encourage everyone to come in for a proper demonstration, because it has a significant impact as far as how they utilize and potentially see through the device. So it makes a big difference. Of course, today with COVID-19, we are closed. Our showroom is closed. We are not accepting any on-site demonstrations. But luckily, together with IrisVision, we do have the the 30-day really risk-free trial opportunity. So we're going to talk more about that later on. But I want to put that out there, especially if someone feels that maybe that the device can be beneficial for them. I want them not to worry and to rest assured that there is a 30-day risk-free trial opportunity. So going back as far as requirements. So I always say, if I personally ever get involved in a demonstration, or in the same room as a demonstration, and we're talking to someone about demonstrations about IrisVision, and this goes for any wearable technology today, we have a requirement that we need to check off two things before we will allow an IrisVision to go out. And the first thing is that the device needs to be able to provide actual assistance to the end user. If the device is not providing assistance, the device is not for them. And the second thing is that it needs to be compatible with them. We're dealing with technology, and a lot of people love technology, and a lot of people are doing really well with the technology. However, if the first box is checked off, where we can help out the end user, but we clearly see that it's not compatible with a person's lifestyle, we are going to strongly recommend that they look at another option that will fit their lifestyle. And I want to stress that we do this because we want to make sure that we are providing the end users with the appropriate device. So I just want to stress that we really, at the Low Vision Shop, our concern is how are we going to make an impact on quality of life for our patients, our customers, our clients. How are we going to make an impact, and how are they going to use these devices as their necessary tool in their toolbox, per se, to live a higher, more productive quality of life. So let's get into the actual device. So Tom, I want you to explain, how does the actual device work?
Yes, so I'm holding the device here in the hardware. The actual device is made by Samsung Corporation, who recently worked with us as an official business partner now. So we're quite excited about that. The device looks fairly large, okay, but it doesn't weigh, it weighs under a pound. It's like 15 ounces. And so part of putting this on involves adjusting the straps on your head so that the weight is distributed easily. It does not rest on your nose. And so once that takes a little bit of adjusting with Velcro straps on the back and along the top. But it's built for it's very comfortable once it's on your face. There's a foam shield that goes around your face. I talk to people with low vision that if you do wear glasses, you can and you should wear glasses when this fits very easily over the top of your glasses. And if you have not been to a low vision clinic to get what we call a low vision refraction, to get the very best prescription you can, not your reading glasses, but distance prescription, that will help in making the the IrisVision come in nice and clear. So that comes right over the head, and there are several buttons on the right side of the unit, and there's also a wheel at the very top. The wheel at the top is, we call it the focus wheel, which can be adjusted when you first put the device on. There's an actual screen that says the word focus in very large letters. And so a person similar to binoculars can adjust that to make it nice and clear. Oftentimes people may tell me if they have severe macular degeneration that the center may not look clear, but the whole screen is so large and it's so close to your eyes that they feel like they're immersed right in the view. And so we prompt them a little bit to, if they're not familiar with moving their eyes slowly up or slowly a little bit down, just slight movements of the eye can bring in the face and the features of somebody, a loved one, that not only the features, but the twinkle in the eye. I mean, if someone's wearing earrings, the detail of a face, it's just one of the most fantastic features of IrisVision, and being able to see faces so clearly. I don't know of any other device that can do that. The simplicity of using it with the buttons on the right side, we have two buttons. One we call the mode button. It sticks up a little bit, and next to it we call a picture or snapshot button. And then right below is a touchpad. The touchpad allows a person with their index finger to swipe in to zoom in and swipe out to zoom out. There are also brightness up and down buttons, but many of these controls now, which we recently added with 3.5, can be done with your voice also. So if you have neuropathy in your fingers, it's hard to feel some of the buttons and so forth, we can really do it, much of the commands with the voice now, which has been really an exciting change for many people, which makes it very, very easy.
Yeah, I also wanted to highlight also that the actual unit, the headset, is really highlighted and illustrated, corresponding, of course, with the user manual as far as the functionality of the device. So, if for some reason you have a question, you forget, as far as what does this do, you can always go back to the manual, and everything is really, highly detailed as far as, what the functionality is on the actual unit itself. So it's done really, really well.
And we built with the voice commands a help menu. So if you're lost, instead of reading the manual, now you can double tap and say the word help, and that will give you the clues that you need in that particular mode, which has been fantastic. I think what sets us apart also is, if you can imagine, if you've never looked into a virtual reality headset before, is that very large screen, okay, compared to other products on the market where the screens are actually fairly small. And the virtual image that a person with low vision sees is farther away from your eyes. So it's kind of like two small screens 12 inches away. So imagine the difference when you have a very large screen just several 2 inches away from you, just similar to bringing your face closer to a television set. The immersive view means it's right up near your eyes, and then inside the device are two magnification lenses that make that screen look even bigger and brighter. The brightness and the color and the illumination are very vivid. It's a high definition picture. And usually the first words we hear is, "Oh my God," or "Wow." Wow.
I've personally witnessed many of those feelings and expressions. It's incredible to experience that. So you're 100% right.
And what's interesting, as we know in low vision rehabilitation, is your eyes and your brain are not quite sure what you're doing or where you're looking. And if you haven't seen well in a few years, and all of a sudden now you're looking at a face, it's almost like their face doesn't change, and then all of a sudden you'll see 30 seconds later, oh my God, and now I'm seeing it. And so we talk to people about the, as you mentioned, the 30-day system gives you the idea of working with this each day, where the first couple of days, it may be a little bit of a struggle, but by the time you've been using it, I always say 3 times a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and don't skip a day, use it every day. By the end of 2 or 3 weeks, you can almost guarantee that it's going.
Yeah.
So you have to be in that mindset of, this is something I really want to put some effort into. I want to try it. I want to go through the training that we offer over the phone. And that's the key to the whole device, I think.
Yeah, I remember an early demonstration where we had an individual, this daughter brought their mother in, and the device was performing really well. We were just going through various different tasks with this person, and the user, after about 45 minutes in this demonstration, was exhausted, and so the user was complaining to the daughter, and she was saying, "I'm so tired, I'm so tired." So of course we said, we'll put a hold. We're not here to tire you out. But the daughter said something really, that caught my attention that I would love to share. And what she said was as follows. She's like, "Mom, imagine you've never worked out before and you go on a treadmill and you run 10 miles. You're going to feel exhausted. You're not going to be able to move. You're not going to know what hit you." So in a similar fashion, when someone's putting on an IrisVision for their first time and they have been using their existing sight, it's going to get tired. It's going to take time. And that slow and steady wins the race mentality of that, that gradual buildup as far as making sure the user utilizes the device in a slow and steady way so they do not continuously get exhausted.
That's really important. It's such a key point. So one of the greatest things I think is, being able to zoom in with, of course, macular degeneration. We also built recently a mode for persons with field restrictions. So if you have glaucoma, you have retinitis pigmentosa, I'll talk about that in a minute. So zooming, you can use your finger to zoom in. Let's say if you're sitting 3 or 4 feet away from someone, you want to look at their face. Or you can double tap and say zoom 3 or zoom 6 or zoom 10, and will automatically go to the level that as you get to practice and you know what level is best for you. It makes it easy to zoom in and then zoom back out again.
Yeah, I want to point out for all the attendees here that when a person starts off, typically the magnification starts off at 1x. That's where it starts off. And today, I know the magnification was just recently increased. It went from 12 to 14 plus. Is that correct?
Correct.
So there is a tremendous gap between 1 and 14. So for those of you who are not too familiar with that level of magnification, going from 1 to 14 is astronomical. So most people that usually start off and put on the device, of course it depends. There's no one I've yet to see an individual who is there's no cookie cutter as far as sight loss where everyone's exactly the same. Everyone's at different different stages when it comes to sight loss. So, but I will say that most people that try IrisVision and put it on for the first time, we typically do not have to go all the way up to the really powerful magnification in order to start seeing some really like instant results. So again, it's literally like almost like flipping the light switch.
And unlike most optical devices, the beauty of this system, where when you look down, let's say you've zoomed in for 4 or 5 times magnification, and you hold something close, like let's say your medication bottle or something like that, and then you look up to see the clock on the wall or the television set, it instantly focuses within like a half a second. And then if you were to look down again, it instantly focuses on where you look. So in low vision, we call it, things that are near, that 12 or 15 inches away, things that are at intermediate distances, like 20 or 30 inches away, like your thermostat on the wall, or the buttons on your microwave, or if you're standing in the pantry and you want to identify some food. And then distance, of course, would be the clock on the wall, the television, or going outside is fantastic with this device because it blocks all the outside light and glare. And so to have a device that no matter where you're looking at near or intermediate or distance tasks, it's very simple. There's no focus knob. It does it all on its own.
Yeah, autofocus is great. And, what you mentioned, indoors and outdoors, the contrast setting as far as, first of all, having to worry about glare when you're outdoors, you do not have to worry about that. And for whatever reason, maybe it is too bright outside, you can easily just tone down the brightness and you can adjust it to a level where you feel comfortable. So extremely versatile and flexible. You're not, I want to also stress, a user is not locked into one specific setting. And the same thing when it comes to magnification. When you start off, with 1x, you can literally go 1.1, 1.2. Again, it all depends how fast you are swiping or what voice command you are using to get to a specific, level of magnification. We're going to talk more about the modes. Tom, I'm going to let you talk more about the modes. But again, we're just talking about magnification here. That when you're in the scene mode, the primary mode, and let's say you're at 4.5x for whatever task you're using it for, if you go into another mode and then ultimately come back to the scene mode, the device is going to remember where you left off with that, level of magnification. Again, I want to really, these are key points because sometimes people, are using IrisVision for very specific tasks in their daily routine, and they want to have that immediate ability to go back to where they left off instead of having to try and figure out where that optimal setting was. So the device will remember where you last left off when it comes to magnification.
Yeah,
so
that's a great point. And, this comes with, a daily use and getting to know it. And we've heard from hundreds and hundreds of patients now that, begin in their home to use it for many of the things that I mentioned. And then what happens is people say, I'm seeing so well that, gee, I never thought I would maybe use this in public. It looks kind of large and I look maybe like a spaceman, but people bring it. And like we hear people, I'm going to use it and ride in the car and look out the windshield. Oh my gosh, I can see road signs. I can see people. Here in Tucson, Arizona, when I first put it on, there's snow on the top of the mountains 8 miles away, which I never can usually see. And I was able to see the snow on the mountains going down the road. It was fantastic. And then we got feedback, we're taking it to the store now. We're taking it out to a museum or a concert. Or for me, it was going back to the art gallery. I was an art student when I was a young man. So we added a lanyard on the device because you can't walk with it when it's on your eyes, but you certainly can use it throughout the time that you're in a store or that you're in a museum. And so by having this lanyard now, it's really been helpful. And I do take it with me everywhere I go. So that allows me to stop and pull it up. And of course, people will ask, sir, what are you doing? Watching movies? It gives me an opportunity to just tell people that I have a severe vision impairment. And these are my very nice and expensive magnifying glasses that magnify no matter where I look. And they go, oh my gosh, that's fantastic technology. So,
yeah, unfortunately, there's not enough awareness or the lack of awareness, not just here in the United States, but even around the world. And so when I hear users being able to share their story as far as, about sight loss, it makes me very happy because, people are intrigued by it. And, I have some funny stories. We're not going to talk about it right this second, but it's definitely a key point. But the bottom line is it's helping users out. Let's talk about users here, right? Because we started talking about magnification. Take a step back, right? We're talking about a device here that's designed for individuals living with sight loss. As you know, blindness, low vision comes in all different shades, right? So let's talk about and share who the primary, patient demographic is, the various sight loss conditions that would be applicable for IrisVision.
Sure. So the number one, as it is in incidence, of course, would be age-related macular disease, which is
Right.
occurring, at a rate of about 1 out of every 6 persons over age 65 here in developing countries around the world. The 1 in 5 over 75, and as many as 1 in 4 over 85. So it's a very similar graph to persons who are experiencing hearing loss. But people know about hearing aids, but like you say, sometimes people are not aware of vision aids. So that's the number one, but there are other conditions, of course, that affect the retina. For instance, diabetic retinopathy would probably be the second major cause of vision loss of retina diseases of the eye. And there are many, probably 40 or 50 that I could name, and many of them are smaller in incidence, but just as important. And as I mentioned, if we go into the next mode, we call it the RP mode. And so for persons who have lost their side vision, and we call it a field restriction, where they only have vision remaining in the center, there hasn't been much help for people with those types of conditions. So imagine our view, and I was mentioning a very large, wide view. Let's say we're looking at a family across the room. We're going to take a picture of 6 people in your family. If you have RP or you have glaucoma, you don't see all 6 people. You might only see 1 or 2 in the middle, and the ones on the edge are not there. So because the camera can see all 6 people, when you move your finger down the touchpad, what happens in a virtual reality system is it virtually pushes the image out farther away from you as that image gets smaller and smaller. And let's say you only have 20 degrees of field of view left. The entire picture, all 6 people, are now squeezed into that area, which helps you see the whole entire picture. It's never been done before in low vision. And people,
it's fascinating to watch how you're able to expand, a person's field, especially with RP. It's incredible.
And when someone's living with field restrictions, if they're looking 30 feet away, and then maybe they turn to look something 5 feet away, okay? So the ability on the fly to adjust that with your finger, going up and down throughout the day, depending on the visual task that you've done, that has never been able to be done before as well. Then we take that capability of inserting the field, then you can also boost the brightness completely bright. People with RP have what's called night blindness or difficulty operating in a low light environment. You can boost the brightness to number 15, and you can walk into a fairly dark room and you'll see normally. It's amazing. I always demonstrate that to people with RP, sometimes also with glaucoma. They need that extra illumination. It provides more contrast and so forth also. So what they're seeing is, as I mentioned, is so vivid and bright that it just makes it more satisfying.
It's amazing what technology we can do today. And again, this all goes back to the software development that's taking place at IrisVision, the engineers that are working tirelessly to constantly enhance the platform. So, we've talked about if you have remaining sight, this device, there's a very good chance that this device will, potentially work for you and do some, great things for you. So that's what I say. It's like literally almost flipping a switch. And if you don't try, you will never know. So we've talked about the actual technology. We know Samsung has been a great partner. The software that's involved as well. And let's talk a little bit as far as the science behind it.
In what aspect, Barry, were you thinking of?
So as far as the science, as far as creating the elements here as far as, from the medical side, as far as working, with doctors around the country.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that.
Yeah. So, as we have several hundred low vision centers, university, low vision hospitals, colleges, and schools of optometry, and ophthalmology residents that are using the product and giving us feedback constantly to our development team, who then we have quite a wish list of items and thoughts and ideas that people have as to how we can help a person function for different reasons or different visual tasks that they might do. One of the patents that we have is we call it the scene with a bubble. And this bubble is a magnified area that can be placed anywhere on the screen. When we first started, it was in the center of the screen. So when you were looking at something straight ahead, you could use that bubble, and you could make the bubble a different size, or you could magnify. Now, by moving it to the one side of the screen or the other, I was working with a woman who wanted to play bridge, and she said, well, the bubble is sort of in the way. I could see the cards really well on the table, but I couldn't see the cards in my hand. So we moved the bubble over to her right eye. And again, the cards on the table might be 20 or 30 inches away. And then on the left side of the screen, she's holding the cards in her left hand, 8 or 10 inches away. She's like, oh my God, I can see both on the screen at the same time. That's never been done before in low vision.
Never been done, no. And it's great for multitasking. Also, maybe even if you're watching, TV with the bubble, right? If you're, depending on how much magnification you're using, if someone else is in the house, you don't want to be, surprised if they come up on you. I mean, there's so many, ways how a user can use that bubble feature and be able to benefit from it. So it's
sitting around a table, where you don't want to just look at one person, you want to kind of catch the glimpse of the whole context of the scene. So the person who might be talking, you could put their face in the bubble, see them very well. And then as someone else starts talking, you just slightly move your head and put them in the bubble, and you can see everyone else's reaction to the side. It's a fantastic thing that also takes practice. We also talk about that the longer you have the opportunity to work with it, you get better at aiming. At first, your aim may not be that great, but it just takes practice and working with the device. We also have, it's called a bioptic mode, which is similar to the bubble, except it's a rectangular area that's usually at the top of the screen. And this is more for distance viewing, like if you were stopped at a corner and you wanted to see a street sign or a bus sign without losing the context of where the sidewalk is and where you're standing. This is a fantastic capability with the bioptic view. In our next version, we're going to be able to also move that bioptic rectangle to the bottom of the screen or anywhere on the screen.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Be
and you're still going to keep the strike zone that's right in the front and center to give you, to show you where you're to aim.
Yeah,
like that, the strike zone.
I like that strike zone. That's good. That's good. Some of the new features, and we talk about being connected and watching YouTube and so forth, is one fantastic thing. But before I go to those, I just want to mention the capability of taking a photograph of what you're looking at. So if you see your grandchild on the floor and he makes a funny face, it's great to be able to catch it right as it happens. But there's just a little snapshot button that will freeze that picture on the screen. And with a virtual reality system, if you've not looked through one before, it looks like a movie screen. And as you make that zoom in feature, the horizontal and vertical part of the movie screen gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon it looks like you're standing in a movie theater looking at the features of that face that you just took a picture of.
I'm sorry to interrupt that, but I love that when you're zoomed in, that if the way you look at the image from, like, let's say moving left to right, up and down, the image will move with your head. It's fascinating.
And then you just push the button, the photo button, and it'll say, would you like to save this picture or delete it? If you save it, it automatically goes to the photo gallery where you can save thousands of pictures. So you can imagine everything that you want to see in life. If you're at an art museum and you really love a certain painting, take a picture of it and save it.
Absolutely.
Text on a screen, or the front of your medication bottle, you want to save the number. There's so many things in life that just would be so easy to have right inside the gallery. And I
also want to mention that you could actually export those images out, and they could be emailed.
Yes. So
I know a user that would do that, and they would send me their pictures.
The capabilities,
so,
yeah.
It's great, tremendous capability. So we're going to continue to talk about the various different modes, but I also want to point out something that's really crucial, because let's say a user only prefers to use the scene mode, and we're going to talk about the reading modes momentarily. People do not have to worry that they're going to be, overburdened with all these different modes on the device. And what's beautiful about customizing the device is that we can easily enable and disable the various different modes. So if someone only wants one mode, two modes, three modes on the device, we can do that. And it's a, really, it saves a lot of time.
And that is so great, because your customer as well. And so by being able to enable and disable, customizing it for each individual is so important. And then we support your efforts by including, as part of your sale, 3 training sessions, or I call them coaching sessions. The reason I call them coaching is the people who make the calls themselves, like me, have low vision and use the device every day. So it's important to know the buttons and how to swipe and make all those changes, which they can help you to do. The first call might be as much as 90 minutes. And we, of course, urge a family member to be there with the visually impaired person. And
very important, important.
They become another coach, and they learn the device. But imagine talking to somebody who's been using this device for a year or 2 years, who has learned all the different aspects of the device, and being able to build a trust with somebody over the phone who themselves have low vision. I think it's a remarkable thing. It's not been done before that I know of any company in the world who has low vision technology, where they include that as part of your experience. And of course, during that first 30 days, now you have a full chance, not just to try it out for an hour or two, but to really take it places, to really give it, to make sure it is the best thing for you, with the feedback of our trainers, our coaches.
Yeah, it's like, taking a oh, I'm sorry. Like oh, my sound there is a little distorted. I apologize. But it's like taking a car for a test spin, taking it out on the highway, putting the pedal to the metal, and being able to really, test the cruise control, test all the features, the braking system. Same thing here applies with IrisVision. So it's really a great opportunity. As we're moving along here, and we're well into this webinar, let's talk about I want you just to briefly talk about some of the other features, because I want to cover a few other things here. So we talked about the scene mode, we talked about the bubble mode, we talked about the bioptic mode, we talked about the RP mode. Let's talk a little about something really important, reading.
So reading is, of course, something that is very important to most people. And so to be able to we have 5 different reading modes. Again, it takes practice to figure out which might be the best for you, but we already know ahead of time, for instance, different eye conditions respond differently. So people need not only magnification, they may need more contrast and more illumination. In the next version of IrisVision, just a month or so away, we have a built-in flashlight if you're in a dark environment, But if you're
Great.
not in a dark environment, you can have a task light over your shoulder to be able to illuminate the book. And then the modes, like one of the frustrations of reading is if you pick something up like a menu, it's brown print on beige paper, or you go to look at your soup can and it's red and white and you can't see red very well. So we
Right.
have a reading mode that just puts it into black and white. Just makes it much easier. If you get a Valentine instead of red and pink, which is difficult to read, it's going to be in a nice sharp black and white. And then for other eye conditions, glaucoma and RP, white letters on a black background work much, much better. Also, for those who are reading for a longer period of time, who really want to be able to read with ease, with the comfort of not all that white coming off the screen, we have some background colors that reduce the glare and the reflection, but provide, like yellow provides the most contrast. We know the yellow in the color spectrum hits the retina the most evenly. And so I read in yellow, but I turn the brightness down because I don't need intense yellow. I just need a little bit of yellow. So I might turn the brightness all the way down to 6. And then when I go back to scene mode, I might use it all the way up to 12. So now with the voice commands, we can make that change very easily. There's also something called reading line, which those of us in low vision, we use it, used to call it a typoscope, which isolates a certain line of print, and it avoids reading mistakes, like reading the same line twice or skipping a line. So being able to put the line of text onto a magnified bar and then going across the screen, these are parts of what makes reading easier with the IrisVision.
That is correct. I love how the versatility of the reading bar, increase the height, decrease the height of that, then increase and decrease the magnification inside that. It's such a versatile device. So we talked about reading modes.
In our next version, we had a woman who wanted the reading bar down below at the very bottom, and she was watching TV and just loved to be able to read the news scroll along the bottom of the TV.
Yeah, you should know that's a very popular request. Very popular.
So that'll probably also be built. We'll have probably a scene mode, so it'll be in color and being able to do that. So these are, again, the feedback that we receive from people is just, we can build that in and like you say, customize it where we can enter it or take it away based on the person. And that is, you know, a big part of what IrisVision offers that's not available in any other wearable device. Finally, the YouTube channel has been really fun to be connected to the world and to be able to see history or documentaries or sports or all kinds of topics that can be seen right inside the headset. And in our new version, again, that's coming out soon, we actually will have categories. So when you enter the, we call it the IrisVision video player, you will see a category called news, and then you'll see a category of entertainment. And this will be preloaded into the software. And by simple swipe down of your finger, being able to choose the video that you would like to see, it reads the title out loud to you. And all you simply do is tap on the screen and the image comes right up, right in front of you. You have the ability to pause and play or go back. You also are going to have the ability to make that screen very huge, like a movie screen, which we haven't had in the past. And so all these features now keep you connected. There's not been a really good low vision solution that is accessible to people with vision impairment or simple to use, or persons who are older who can now enjoy some of these features like YouTube.
Yeah, and I think, you know, even in today's, you know, current environment where everyone is home, you know, the social distancing, everyone is, you know, again, everyone is home. The isolation having a device like IrisVision is really crucial. And, if you fit the category where you have your remaining sight, and, IrisVision is so powerful because, with the magnification going to 14x, that, you could have 20/40, or you can go with, I would say low as, 21,000, 2,800, 21,000, somewhere in that range, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, it's even very severe vision impairment has been remarkable that they can access print material or like I mentioned, seeing faces is so great for the first time and so forth. So
yeah, it's again, the device is really powerful. And I promise you, Kip, I'm going to bring you in here in just a moment. We didn't forget about you. You've been very patient there. So I want to. So we've covered, I would say, pretty much all of the actual modes. Again, you have the flexibility to enable, disable. You can use the voice command. Again, very powerful, versatile, customizable. It really helps out such a diverse range of individuals. I personally have seen a patient, we've dispensed one actually a couple of years ago, to someone who was 100 years old. So again, if you're thinking about someone, a younger person, 8+ years, all the way up to over 100, this device, will fit, such a broad range of a patient demographic. So one of the things, go ahead.
A 93-year-old woman, the first time she was so thrilled. She said, "This is worth every penny because I can adjust my own thermostat. My daughter doesn't have to drive all the way across town every day to adjust it, and I just like to do it myself." And then she called me back. She said, "Tom, you're not going to believe this one." I said, "What?" And she said, I live alone, and the doorknob on my front door was coming off. It was very loose. And I got my IrisVision, and I went and got a Phillips head screwdriver, and I tightened the door, and I fixed it. In 93
Incredible.
years.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love hearing these stories, and it just shows that what everyone is doing here from both sides, whether from us from the low vision shop or for you actually at IrisVision, all the work that we are doing together collectively, the quality of life and giving someone the independence, this is what it's all about. It's all about, that having that independence and creating memories. So let's give you a hypothetical. So if someone orders a device today, all right, we'll talk about that momentarily. What can a person expect when they receive their IrisVision?
So they would, we could ship it directly to your home, and they would receive a call the first day that it arrives. They would receive an email with a tracking number letting them know when it will arrive. And then one of our coaches, her name is Myrna, and Myrna would be calling the first day to introduce herself. And hopefully, like as I mentioned, the person maybe with a family member or two family members can be on the phone with Myrna to actually take it out of the box, to look at all the all the aspects of the device if they had no opportunity to do that with you, if you were not dispensing it. But it's a great opportunity. Now you're at home, you have time, so why not give it a try? So there's a wireless charging pad that we didn't talk about, which makes it very easy to set.
We didn't talk about battery power. We didn't talk about the USB cord that magnetically connects to the bottom.
Yeah, all of those things are discussed in that first session, as well as actually turning it on, turning it off, and then putting it on your head, and then doing some of the initial things and kind of setting up a practice regimen that would be easy but consistent day after day. And then a second call a week later will be another trainer of ours that specializes in helping that person decide what modes they want to be able to use. So when they first receive the device, there's only 5 modes that are enabled. So otherwise they could turn on all 13 modes. It might be very confusing. So little by little, we go deeper into training and coaching. They would, as I mentioned, also talk about many of the uses that a person might use, what's on their what I call their visual goals. What's their goals? What do they want to be able to accomplish? And we tailor make the training to that. And then the third week would be another call that would open up maybe some of the other modes or the YouTube capabilities. And so people really get a chance to be little by little exposed, and they keep those numbers of those our trainers around. And I know that many people will call back and say, you know, I just have one more question a month or two later. And they have somebody that they've already known and they can depend on who can
That's
answer
great.
questions. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. So I mean, we've covered a lot here. Literally, we're just 1 hour in, and I appreciate everyone, you know, hanging around and really paying attention to everything that we're saying and all the information that we've been providing. I want to bring Kip into the picture here. Well, he's been in the picture the whole time. He's been patiently waiting here. I want to bring Kip in here. I want to hear from you. If you can share with the attendees, you know, where things are. We've talked about all these, you know, software enhancements and stuff like that, but where are things going with IrisVision as a whole?
Yeah, well, first, let me thank you, Barry, for having me on. I know it was short notice, and Tom, and for everything you guys do for this community, and also all of your listeners today. This is a humbling treat for me to be on in these unprecedented times. Just foremost, safety to you and yours. Just a little bit of background on myself, be very brief here. I just started with the organization as Global Vice President of Sales about a month ago. So interesting time to transition. I spent 23 years in interventional cardiology and neurology, Barry, and a peer of mine, his son, had a severe eye condition and found, as the father would do after years of searching, found IrisVision. Told me about it, showed me what it had done for his family and his son, and I just fell in love with the technology and the culture of the organization, and just to join this. And part of the reason was my grandma was blind the last 5 years of her life from macular degeneration, and my mother was just diagnosed 2 months ago. So interesting how things come full circle, but you said it, Barry, that part of this was I had no idea this technology existed. There is an awareness factor out there, or maybe a lack of an awareness factor, and that's what I'm here to try to help solve. And part of that transition is also pivoting with the organization with this time with COVID-19 as well. To answer your question about where we're going, we've accelerated our development and launch of our remote capabilities. And this is really technology that no one else can offer, and we're light years ahead of its time. And timing couldn't be better. So telehealth, telerehabilitation, this is going to enable physicians to reconnect with their patients, especially now and for the next couple months, but going into the future. Enables independence, work, school, homeschool, access to critical news, health and safety information, which right now couldn't be more important. We're also very aggressively discussing and partnering with local, state, and national governments, associations, and .orgs to help expand the outreach and accessibility to those in need through our enhanced capabilities and technology. So those are a few things that IrisVision is doing for the low vision community, and globally how we're positioning ourselves to continue to lead the fight here. So thank you for having me on again.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I appreciate you giving us, you know, that update and participating and you know, your patience until we brought you in for that. So, you know, welcome aboard. And I'm excited that you have joined the company because, you know, again, we've seen, personally witnessed where the company started, where it is today, and now we know where things are going. So it's really remarkable times from the technology standpoint. And, you know, everyone's got to have different tools in their toolbox to be able to assist them with their sight loss condition. And IrisVision is just such a versatile device that is helping out so many people out there today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry.
So we're going to go to some Q&A here. If anyone would like to come into this setting where the three of us are here, if you have any questions for us, please raise your hand and I will bring you into the as a panelist, and we can, if you want to turn your video on, if you want to keep it off, just the audio, whatever is good for you, that's fine. But we did have a question that was submitted in advance, and I'm going to actually address this to you, Tom. So the question was that this individual came in, they went through a full demo with IrisVision. The actual device was able to help them out, but they were very dizzy, and the dizziness was a major factor as far as, allowing them to proceed forward. And so what can you share? I mean, we've seen that before. Sometimes it just takes time getting used to, but is there anything specific, Tom, that you could share that would help alleviate some of those concerns?
Sure, sure. And as you mentioned, it does sometimes take a while. In fact, I was talking with Dr. Frank Werblin, and who's more of a neuroscience specialist, as much as several days of actual. Actually, our CEO Ahmad had some dizziness when he first worked with the IrisVision that eventually completely went away. But specifically, what I talk about is the amount of magnification that you're looking through on the screen, like when you get so excited and so forth. We want to start with lower levels of magnification at first. So if you're going from 1 to 15, you might want to do a 2 or 3 or maybe 4 at the beginning. Now, helping somebody understand that zooming back in so that there's no magnification, we call, as you mentioned, 1 or 1x. And then we turn our head and then we rezoom into what we want to see next, so that we're not moving our head while the screen is magnified. And when people ask me, what do you mean practice? This is exactly what I mean. It was when you first receive the device, you want to practice zoom out and turn your head, look at, let's say, the cup on the table, then zoom in, then zoom out, and then turn and look at your computer screen, then zoom in. And that's the part that takes practice. As I mentioned before, your aim is not that good. And so when you're trying to aim with a screen that's magnified, that can really cause trouble. So I think it's going slow, taking your time. That's why I mentioned 15 or 20 minutes and then rest, 15 or 20 minutes and rest. It's better to do frequent practice sessions with smaller amounts of time rather than to try to do this also for 45 minutes or an hour straight. But over time, well, kind of like that exercise regimen that you mentioned, you don't want to overdo it at first. And so those are some of the tips that we go over in our training sessions.
So excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. Another question just came in, and they want to know about nausea. So I don't see it too often. I have had an individual where they had to bolt on us because of nausea. But again, I want to stress it doesn't happen too often. So it's a very rare occurrence. But how would you also correlate some of those techniques that we just discussed as far as the dizziness and as far as also nausea? Would you correlate those as in that same bucket and some of the same techniques that would help alleviate that?
Yeah, I think it could be a crossover. However, there may be other factors involved with a person who has something called Meniere's disease and other factors with the balance. And there may be, in rare cases, persons who cannot use an IrisVision device. Just it would be too difficult for them. But that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no, I would agree. So that was a great question. Again, if anyone has any additional questions, please don't be shy. We have the experts here and would love to address any questions or concerns. I just want to, before we close out, and we're going to, in one moment, oh, great question. How long is the battery life? I'll let you answer that also, Tom.
Yeah, very good. So the IrisVision will be, when charged 100%, will go on for between 2.5 and 3 hours of use. That's the battery that's coming from the headset. And we have the capability of, and it comes in the case, is a magnetic connector on the bottom of the unit that has a braided cord that would connect to an external cell phone battery, for instance. So I have one called a Mophie. It fits in my shirt pocket. So if I'm going to go to a museum for 8 hours or 10 hours or anything like that, I can connect that to the bottom of the IrisVision as the battery goes down to, maybe it's down to 40% or 30%. I just connect that cell phone battery, and now I can go, the IrisVision will stay at 30%, and it will draw the power. It doesn't charge it, but it will draw the power from that external battery. That cord can also be used if you're sitting in your easy chair and there's an outlet nearby. You can actually plug it in if you're watching, let's say, several movies, and you want to be able to do that for a lengthy period of time.
Yeah, so yeah, that magnetic power cord is great. People are watching, sporting events, when they are indoors, you have unlimited battery power there, 2.5 to 3 hours on a full charge. Again, depending how much you're using it, if you're using it constantly, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, obviously you're going to drain the battery faster. By the time that if you purchase an additional battery backup, I actually do that myself with just my regular smartphone. That will provide sufficient additional charge, especially if you're going to be going outdoors for the day. I want to, before I provide everyone here with a special offer today, I want to highlight a specific individual. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. He recently passed away. His name was Lanny Dennis. He was a huge ambassador and advocate for not just for low vision, but was actually the first IrisVision user that pretty much in the Northeast, I would say. And Lanny was a power user. I mean, he would not leave his home without his IrisVision. He would always say, it's like American Express, don't leave home without it. And I've had the opportunity to spend, the amount of time that we spent together over the past few years probably equals days. And Lanny was not just a friend, but an incredible individual. But what I want to point out here is that we would go on various different excursions, if you want to call it, and we've created different experiences together with Lanny where he would take his IrisVision and really put it to the test to see what he can accomplish with it. And I don't think there was a single instance where his IrisVision let him down or even came close to failing as far as what he wanted to accomplish. I mean, we have some great videos out there in our vlogs that we used to do together with Lanny, Coffee Talk with Lanny D. IrisVision was always front and center. And I just want to highlight a couple of things that we did that will truly, demonstrate the power of what IrisVision, can do. So Lanny, we had the opportunity to take him to his first hockey game, professional hockey game, NHL, took him to a Washington Capitals game. And it was his first experience. We were sitting, on the middle level, and he was able to not only see the puck for the first time, but he was able to follow the puck back and forth, back and forth. Was able to watch the Zamboni cleaning the ice during, halftime. And he always remarks about how he was able to see the puck and see, the players, and follow it. So that's just, a small glimpse as far as, from that particular experience. We would also take the IrisVision every year to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. And Lanny would love to use his IrisVision to see the Blue Angels perform. So we're talking about, high-speed action, and IrisVision stood up to that test. He said, I've never seen the Blue Angels so clearly in my life. And not only that, he was able to, capture incredible pictures that he would retain in his library and email around to his friends. And, say like, wow, this was, an incredible experience as far as being able to watch the Blue Angels perform. I mean, we're talking about, fast moving aircraft and, not just, with sound, but, we're talking about fast moving momentum there. So just truly remarkable. And, we would just go around and do different things together. We used to go plane spotting at BWI Airport. Again, being able to stay focused. You mentioned the autofocus. Being able to watch the aircraft come in, landing, departing, and Lanny would take his IrisVision with him to church, so he'd be able to see his pastor to follow along properly, and he really used it day in, day out, not just to watch television, but to see his grandkids and see his other family members. And again, he was, I would say, our probably #1 power user, and I think the IrisVision, he would tell you today, if he was around with us, he would tell you it never let him down, and it always provided him a significant improved quality of life. And Lanny was someone who liked to have multiple tools in his toolbox, and IrisVision was his go-to device, and I can honestly say it was his preferred device. So I'm not, I could speak, I'm sure he's standing right behind me and say, yes, Barry, that is correct. So, so it was definitely a great piece. And for those of you here today who are watching, the device is $2,950. We are offering today a $325 coupon. So if you were to go onto the lowvisionshop.com and you were to go ahead and order the device, you can redeem your coupon, where it says redeem coupon code, and today's coupon is going to be TOM, T-O-M. I wonder where I got that from. So enter TOM, and you will receive $325 off your purchase for an IrisVision. It includes free shipping and also your 30-day risk-free trial. So again, you have to purchase a device in order to activate that risk-free trial. And again, it comes with free shipping. IrisVision's got the technical support. Everyone's still there working, whether it's remotely or on-site, being able to provide the necessary tools and tips to get you started and to take your IrisVision literally from taking it out of the box and to putting on and flipping that light switch. So another statement that Lanny used to say as far as literally, flipping the light switch. So before we close it out, I just want to see if there are any other questions. If anyone wants to come into the conversation, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today and participating in this webinar. We hope you found it to be useful. Tomorrow we are continuing. We have Dave Steele, the blind poet, who will be joining us from Manchester, United Kingdom, and we will be updating the webinar schedule for next week very shortly. We have some incredible guests, more technology, and I guess I want to, again, thank you, Tom, for spending your time today with us. Kip, for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually. I'm sorry to get a chance to see you face to face. We were in California together a few weeks ago. And again, thank everyone for participating. Anyone have any last questions? I'll let you, Tom, any last thoughts? Kip, anything?
Thank you, Barry, for this opportunity. And wow, that's quite a bit. I think that's the best offer I've ever heard. So people should definitely take advantage of it during this time when they have plenty of time to work with the device. IrisVision.com, IrisVision.com. Or if you are a user of the computer or somebody in your family and you do go to the YouTube, just type in IrisVision, 2 words, and all those videos that you mentioned. What an inspiration for Lanny, and I please send our condolences to his family. What a great veteran that he was, and we're just
glad. Here's everyone can see that. Here's a picture of Lanny. So it's from last year, watching the Blue Angels in Annapolis, and I tell you, look at that smile. I mean, he would just. There was nothing greater than to be able to, to be there at the academy. His son is a Naval Academy graduate, and to be there, so proud and the commitment. This really was one of the top things that always, we looked forward to.
It just gives me goosebumps because I think of how inspiring he was, but near the end of his life, to be able to see all those things that he saw and the quality of life, as we get closer to the end. Wow, I mean, to be able to think about that, that's what our company is all about. And yep. Thanks, Barry, for all your help all these years.
It's my greatest pleasure. I'm proud to play a role in the various capacity to help improve quality of life. And IrisVision is there. We consider IrisVision a great partner. And again, it's a great honor to be a part of this and to see the technology to continue to evolve and get better and better every day. So, Kip, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you very much, both of you. And again, I thank everyone here for joining us today. And of course, if anyone has any questions, offline, you can send it to info@thelowvisionshop.com, info@thelowvisionshop.com. We do have one last question. I don't, okay, we'll address that offline. And I just decided that typically that coupon lasts for 24 hours, but we're going to extend it for 1 full week. So please take advantage of that. Discount coupon code TOM, T-O-M. And again, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, Tom. Take care, Kip.
Take
Thank
care.
you,
So
guys.
long. Stay healthy, everyone. Stay healthy.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.